You're listening to the Write Project podcast and radio program, a show about writing and modern Newfoundland author culture. This program is produced and recorded at CHMR FM 93.5 FM in St. John's, Newfoundland and Labrador, and is aired on other great stations in the province and elsewhere in the country. It can also be heard online at www.chmr.ca. I'm your host, Matthew Ledrew.
I am Audible. This is me, Audible Reilly.
Okay, we're on with Heather Reilly, author of the Binding of the Alphabet Soup novels. How do you pronounce that word? Almatraic?
Almatraic.
Almatraic?
Yeah.
You're not Almatraic. I'm Almatraic.
You can't handle the Almatraic.
Yes. Sounds like I'm a Trek or something like that. Like, I'm a Trekkie.
I missed my cue when you slapped your knee. I should have said, like, woo!
I see. Okay, so
That's
we have...
for later books.
Yes. We have Heather Reilly on, and she's going to be answering the top questions for authors from the internet.
And the bottom questions?
Yes.
Definitely your listenership will go up.
Heather Reilly, what is your favorite childhood novel? Book you read when you were a child?
Man.
If you can remember back that far.
Oh, no, it's easy.
You're
it's
fast approaching 50.
hands down an easy answer. My first novel that just made me fall in love was Jane Yolen's Pit Dragon Trilogy.
I don't even know what that is.
So it's Heart's Blood, Ascending for Dragons, and what's the other one called? I can't remember now. There's 3 books in the series, and it just made me fall in love with dragons, and I've been hooked ever since.
What's it about? Like, is it... so there's dragons.
Yeah.
And they live in the inner city.
No, so it's the society dragons is normal, and it's about this boy, I think his name is Jaqen or Jaken, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but I could be wrong on the name completely because this was like 30 years ago. But it's amazing. He ends up working in this like a worm stable basically, and he befriends this dragon, and it becomes his dragon named Heart's Blood. Okay. And he rides her, so it ends up being this huge bond between human and dragon, and it's made me hate every dragon movie since then where people kill dragons.
You don't hate Dragonheart.
No,
Sean
well,
Connery.
okay.
That's...
Anything with that accent is a good thing.
Yes. Okay. Just so we're clear.
Like, he could be 80 as long as he keeps talking. It's all good.
I think he is 80.
Like, probably.
He probably is 80. Yeah. Okay. Excellent. So that's a cool series. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Okay. Heather Reilly, in your opinion, what is the best underappreciated novel? So like a mainstream novel that you've read, maybe that you don't feel like anyone likes, or that not enough people like, that needs a single boost.
So
the Heart's Blood series, but no.
Well, yeah, that's a good one. But also one I discovered when I was an adult is called the Bartimaeus Trilogy, and now there's actually 4 of them, and it's by Jonathan Stroud, and it's kind of a bittersweet story because the books in the Bartimaeus Trilogy, the first one is called The Amulet of Samarkand, but basically it's a magic society, but the magic users are considered like the upper class, and if you don't have magic ability, you're like a street kid or whatever. Sure. But it follows this boy who is able to summon this demon. So in this society, magic doesn't exist as magic per se, but they have to summon demons to do their bidding for them. Yeah. So this boy, who has no business summoning a demon of this height and magnitude, manages to do it. And it follows him and this demon. And actually all 4 books are written from the point of view of the demon. And he's very pompous and very like all about himself, very egotistic. And the entire series is full of footnotes. So whenever he's describing a situation, he'll put a footnote in, and if you look down, it's really like his opinion on the situation. And it's comical, it's amazing, it's hilarious, and it's really well written. And the storyline is amazing. But it's kind of bittersweet because I enjoyed it so much that I tried reading other stuff by Jonathan Stroud, and it was not up to my expectation.
Yeah, he's a very hit and miss author from what I've read. Yeah.
So, in any case, I still have those books. I still read through them. My students love them, but
well,
Yeah.
What is the hardest part of writing characters that are from a different demographic than you, regardless of what you might identify as? Whatever you identify as, what is the hardest part of it writing people that don't fit in that category?
I'm actually fortunate because my novels take place in a fictional society.
Yeah.
So I can make that demographic whatever I want.
That's true, but I mean, that's why I phrase it the way I do, because demo's a fairly broad thing.
Yeah.
So even, like, writing a male character, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't find it hard, actually.
No. Yeah. It's not hard to write men because for an embarrassingly long point of time, most fiction was written by men, so our point of view is long established.
Prevalent, yeah. I think it's more also the fact that I think, and I am a woman, but I'm saying this, and I hope I don't get lynched from all the lady listeners out there, but I think women overthink things a lot of time. So, like in life in general, where guys their thought process seems to be a lot more cut and dry, a lot more straightforward, this kind of type of thing. So I think because of that, like, difference, like, because I'm the woman already, I kind of already have the inside on the harder part to write.
Interesting.
Whereas with the guys, I find it's a lot more cut and dry. So in my novels, like, I show Aylin, the main characters, to be more thought. Like, she has streams of thoughts running through her head that are questioning, that are wondering what the real situation is going on. And then with Oslin, it's very cut and dry. This needs to be done, so we're going to go do it. So, yeah. I don't know if that answers your question, but...
It does. That's interesting. Okay, cool. What is your favorite unknown book, Heather Reilly? So, this is slightly different from the other one in that I say, like, if there's an indie novel you'd like to single boost or something like that. Like, Underappreciated is a novel that, like, got a mainstream release.
Yeah.
And it's like, why are there more people talking about this? You can get it anywhere. Unknown might be, like, you know, indie music scene, but for books.
So for me, this is a kid's book. It's called Lamont the Lonely Monster. And I can't tell you who wrote it. And I still have my copy at home from when I was like a little kid learning to read.
Oh, wow. But
it's one of those books with the doors that open and flaps and things. And I think the reason that I love it so much is because, first of all, it's about a monster who's lonely because he doesn't have any friends. So he goes through this book meeting all of these Halloween-type creatures, although it's not set in Halloween. There's like a witch, and there's like a Frankenstein and a mummy and all these things. And it's all about him trying to find a friend. But I think the reason it touched my life and made such a huge difference in my life is because when my mom would sit down and read it with me, she would do a different voice for every monster.
Oh, wow.
And that totally... changed the way I read, and still when I read to my students every day, I do a crazy voice for every different character in the books, and
including just when you're speaking.
Yeah, and it's true.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about, but in any case, yeah. So it makes them want to read more too, and it's just like a chain reaction of awesomeness.
That's really funny. Whenever I read kids' books to young students, like, you know, grade 2. If it's a kid's book that rhymes, and a lot of children's books, I feel like they're written with a certain meter, like a very similar meter, like a pattern, and that pattern I find lends itself very well to rap.
Yeah.
So I'll end up rapping all the children's books to them, and
That's
they'll
awesome.
kind of, they get the meter of it, kind of thing.
I love
really
that.
Fun.
I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. Only time I will ever rap is in front of 2-year-olds or 2 graders because I feel like I shouldn't.
I feel like we need to record this because I don't know how well you rap, but I definitely cannot beatbox, and I just think it would be amazingly awful.
No, it's not a thing. Oh my. Okay. Heather Reilly, have you ever gotten reader's block where you just can't read? Like, it feels like you can't read anything. It feels like a book's just blocked you and you're like, I can't read this book.
Okay, so once, so as you know, I'm a professional editor as well, and I have been for a very long time, and I read an indie novel who was by an author that had self-published.
I know what you're talking about, but we won't name it.
Right,
Yeah.
we're not going to name it, but trying to read that book was an experience akin to torture for me. It was heart-wrenchingly soul-breaking trying to read through it because of all the incorrect grammar, punctuation, like sentences did not flow. It was almost unreadable.
Yeah.
Since then, I have learned that the author has had it edited, and you cannot find the old copy anymore.
Oh, you've got the rare gem.
I do. Yeah. But it is probably much better now. But
which is a good reason not to name it, because I mean, if it's
it's improved, right? And that shows growth as a writer, which is great.
Yeah.
But it also was a learning thing for me because it was before I had published, and I think it was actually. It was before I had published, so it taught me a lot of things not to do in my books.
Oh yeah. There's nothing like reading something worse than yours to make you go, oh, I don't ever want to do this.
Yeah, right. So it was good, though, because it made me grow as an author, even though, learn from other people's mistakes.
Yeah. Actually, that's an interesting thing, because sometimes I'll do that when I'm interviewing an author that we're going to publish, or that we're considering publishing. I'll ask what their, like, top 5 favorite novels are, but also their top 5 least favorite.
Yeah.
And if their top 5 least favorite
are any of yours, don't publish them.
No. That would be great if they can point out flaws in my own stuff. Absolutely. But like, if their top 5s are all USA Today bestsellers or New York Times bestsellers, I'm like, oh no, you haven't dug deep enough to know how bad it can get. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, the worst New York Times bestseller is still a competent novel.
Yeah. I think, too, it really depends on why you dislike the novel. Because some people, you just don't like the story, and it's just not your thing.
Yeah.
But then there are other ones that have, like, structural issues or character issues or different things like that. So I think it depends, too, on how in-depth you're looking at it and for what reason.
True, and that could kind of tell you a lot about how analytical they are.
Mm-hmm.
Because it can tell you, like, that they're looking at it from this other perspective. Like, I like applying all the different theories to stories I really like. I really like Back to the Future.
Oh, yeah. I love that.
Yeah. So you can approach it from a lot of different theories, but and you can approach it from feminist theory, but you shouldn't, because you realize how horrifying that story is from Lorraine's point of view.
Yeah.
Like, that is a horror movie from Lorraine's point of view, and I'm like, I like this too much. I'm gonna choose not to
filter it that way.
Nope.
Yeah.
Yep. Over here.
Yeah.
In the bin. Heather Reilly, what's the first book you ever read that you can remember that made you cry? Does not have to be sad tears.
Like out and out cry. It was P.S. I Love You.
That's interesting. That's a recent one. So you were
I was in teacher's college when we read that.
So you were an unemotive monster as a child.
No, movies make me cry, but books don't generally.
That's fair.
And I think, too, I read an awful lot of fantasy, like for pleasure, like all growing up. So there tends to be not a whole lot of sad stuff in fantasy.
That's true. It's very epic, and it's very... It's a lot of high fantasy feels historical. Yeah. And it's hard to get emotional. It's like a history text where it's like, yes, these people have died, but really even the ones who lived have died because it takes place 300 years ago. Right. Yeah.
And so the genre of book I read don't really lend themselves to that. But in teacher's college, I was forced to read P.S. I Love You. Yeah. And also another one called A Child Called It. And both of those books, like, it was real and it was hard and it was really, it affected me deeply, both of them.
There was 2 that make me cry in that way often. Like, not just the first time, every time I go back and reread them. And that is a book that was recommended to me by Erin Vance, my editor, which is a graphic novel called Blankets.
Oh, I haven't read that.
Oh, it's amazing. It's a phone book. So it's one graphic novel, but it's like a phone book. But it's award-winning. Lend it at the library if you can, or pick it up. It's amazingly good, but it's just a true story of the writer and illustrator, because it's the same person, and he's recounting his first love. And it's his first love, so, like, it's bittersweet, and it's just heartbreaking. I've read it. It's this monstrously thick graphic novel, and I read it all in one sitting, and at 4 a.m. was just crying my eyes out. Another one like that I, like, can't pick up because I'll, like, get upset is The Time Traveler's Wife.
Oh, I love that book.
Yeah. But the first one that made me cry, and still makes me cry when I talk about it, is Grover's First Day of School.
I haven't... Wait, like Sesame Street Grover?
Yeah, Grover's First Day of School.
All right.
It's a children's book.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's a different kind of book altogether.
With pictures.
Woo!
Yeah. No,
yeah.
But it's really good. So it's about Grover's first day of school, and he brings his favorite toy, and he brings his favorite snack. His mom packs his favorite snack for him for his first day of school, and something else that's his favorite. So he has 3 things. And then when he's there, like, I'm going to get teared up talking about this 30-year-old children's book. But so when he's there, another kid asks him to trade toys with him. And the other kid's got, like, this broken truck with, like, a wheel that's off it and stuff like that. But Grover wants the other kid to like him. So he says, sure, and trades. And another kid's got, like, a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And Grover doesn't like peanut butter and jelly, but he has to trade. So Grover wants the other kid to like him. So he says, sure.
That's peer pressure, man.
And he trades away all his favorite things. And then he's just crying because he's, like, missing all his favorite things. And the other kids tell him, well, look, you didn't have to do this to make us like you, kind of thing. And they give him back his things and trade it all back. And then he's happy and he's got friends. But that whole just, like, giving away parts of yourself to make other people like you, just, that hit me even as a kid, man.
Yeah.
Like, just, oh.
I'm not sure I want to find out how he gave back a peanut butter sandwich.
Well, he hadn't eaten it yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so he wasn't grieving for that long, is what you're saying. Because when you give a kid a sandwich, it's gone in 30 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fair. That's fair.
That's interesting.
That's not true. I know a certain redheaded 5-year-old that if you give her a sandwich, that sandwich will last for hours.
Days. No.
Days. Until you take it from her, at which point, nom, nom, nom.
You know what the secret is? Spinach. I put spinach on her sandwich, and she gobbles the thing up. She loves spinach.
Spinach is good. It's good for you.
Yeah.
Yep. She will grow big and strong.
Till the finish.
Heather Reilly, do you think someone could be a writer if they don't feel emotions strongly?
I would have to say yes, because not experiencing something yourself doesn't mean you're bad at writing it.
That's fair.
Like, a lot of my books are set in medieval times or pirate days, and obviously I was not alive back then, but I could do enough research to do justice to the time period.
That's an interesting point, because that's almost the genre lit fiction divide from what I've heard of the lit fiction standpoint, where it's like, how can you write pirate fiction authentically? Like there's a certain side of the writing community who thinks that, like me being a male from Newfoundland, I should only be writing about the male experience of a Newfoundlander, which is limiting.
It really is, especially in today's day and age when you can literally be anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because not everybody identifies with being their birth gender, for example.
That's all very true. Yeah, no, I wouldn't even think about it from that point of view, but it's more the imagination thing, where it's like, you're in a medium that requires imagination.
Yeah.
Why are you limiting it? It also feels fairly, like, I get this a lot living in Newfoundland, from other writers in the lit community in Newfoundland.
Yeah.
But I'm like, funny, nobody gets mad at Robert J. Sawyer for writing sci-fi. Like, he's allowed to because he's a mainlander. I can't because I'm just a Newfoundlander.
Yeah, I don't know. I think, too, it really depends on what kind of a job you're doing to fill in the gaps you might have.
Well, that's very true. I am a horrible writer, and if they picked on that...
You're a horrible writer.
If they picked on that, I'd be like, oh, absolutely. Like, if only they would say, you're a bad genre writer, instead of just saying you're a genre writer.
You're not a bad writer, though, at all, no matter the genre. But, yeah, no, I think I don't know how different I am compared to other authors. I know I've been looked at strangely by some because of the intense amount of research I do.
Interesting.
But I'll do like 3 hours of research for 1 hour of writing.
That's intense.
Just to make sure that I don't, like, where I'm writing in the 12th century, or 13th century, 1200s, I don't want to mention something that doesn't exist yet.
Like that time you posted a book with a telephone in it that was based in the 13th
Never. But, like, today, I had a guy putting gemstones in his pocket, and I had to stop myself, and I had to go do a bunch of research, like, when were pockets invented? When were they widely used?
I would never have thought of when were pockets invented.
Yeah. See, that's what I mean. I research everything so I don't accidentally, because I love history, but I also have friends who love history, and there are some people I know you can't watch a medieval movie with them because they pick it apart, like, oh, that person had keys or something, like they pick, you know what I mean? And it stops them from enjoying it. So I don't want to put a block on anybody enjoying my stuff.
That's fair. I also think that whatever your specialty is, that's the worst thing that to try and enjoy fiction from. Like, I can't watch shows about writers because I get very like, oh, look, it's an alcoholic writer. How original. I'm gonna just sit here and grit my teeth. Oh, look, someone's playing a writer and they're playing it like they're Stephen King. Wow, we're all just like that.
It's funny because when you said alcoholic writer, I was like, oh, Stephen King.
Yeah.
He's my favorite author, though.
Oh, he's one of mine. Yeah, no, I adore Steve. But yeah, that is a trope for a reason. Thankfully, he got over that part of his life.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a trope for a reason. And part of it, the reason it's a trope, isn't even that he suffered from that. It's that he explored his suffering in his writing.
That's right.
And his writing was some of the most popular stuff in the 80s and 90s, still today, and he populated it with alcoholic writers, and that was how he kind of dealt with his stuff. Yeah. So it's this double-edged sword of, like, you can't even say that, like, people were making fun of him, because it was him. Like, he's responsible for this trope himself.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, like you're right. There are a lot of people who, I had a friend who was a fighter, like a
boxer?
Yeah. Kickboxing, actually. But yeah, you couldn't watch action movies with him.
Yeah.
He'd get very intense. I've been watching this series on YouTube called Stuntmen React. And it's stuntmen reacting
I think I've seen that, actually.
to bad stunts in movies.
Yeah.
And they pick apart certain scenes that I'm like, I don't even see what you're seeing. And they'll sit there and explain it. And it'll be like a bunch of ninjas attacking one guy. But the ninjas that aren't attacking right now are just kind of paused.
Waiting
like,
for their time.
Waiting.
Yes! I've seen that episode.
Yes. And I'm just like, oh, I never would have seen that kind of thing. But yeah, I think on one level you're absolutely right to do research, but on another level I think that if anyone out there has an extreme expertise, realize that maybe fiction about that expertise isn't for you. Like,
maybe, but
it's
like
weird, like
I love medieval stuff. Like to this day, like it's my heart and soul in a lot of ways.
I'm always shocked, like when doctors like to watch House, for instance. Like I know one doctor who likes House MD.
Actually.
And the rest are like, what?
It's funny you say that because my sister's husband, my brother-in-law, is a doctor. And when he was in school, in med school, they made them watch Grey's Anatomy and House and stuff like that.
Just to have a laugh.
No, you know what it is? It was actually to give them an idea of the truth and fiction of the inner workings of the hospital.
Sure.
So for House, it was the diagnoses and stuff.
Yeah.
And for Grey's Anatomy, it was the personal relationships between staff.
Yeah.
Although sex in the on-call rooms apparently don't happen that often.
Yeah, no. the door doesn't lock.
And all of the doctors aren't so good looking.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which is why the first thing doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, lights out.
Yeah. I don't know. I always find that, like, people should realize that when they have an expertise that, like, it's fiction. You know what I mean? That, like, in the other fiction they enjoy, like, you might be a doctor and, like, nitpicking this thing about doctors.
Yeah.
But then you watch a legal drama and you have no clue. You're just enjoying it. And you have no clue about the millions of things you're missing.
Yeah. But that's one of the reasons I don't write in real places.
Yeah.
Like, every novel I write, even, like, it doesn't matter I'm working on a dystopian novel that I've been working on for 6 years, and like I want to finish it when I'm done my next book.
Sure.
But even that, I'm not placing any of it in real locations because I just don't have time to do that kind of research I'm already doing so much other research.
I really like it when a novel set in the future really misses the mark. Like, it's always like, oh no, you thought this wouldn't exist in 100 years and it existed in 5.
Or the other way around, like Spaceballs. If you think of Spaceballs, the movie, Princess Vespa takes off in like a 1920, or no, it's already passed. It was like a 1984 Mercedes, and it's a flying car, spaceship.
Yeah.
Right? Like 20 years ago. And they thought that would be a thing. Like,
yeah, I think Spaceballs might have been a satire.
Well, duh.
I didn't see it.
What?
Yeah, no. I've never seen it.
We need to stop filming right now and watch this.
I've actually never seen a Mel Brooks film.
Okay, Spaceballs is the best one.
I have seen Blazing Saddles, and that kind of made me go,
no.
Oh, no.
No. History of the World, Part 1 and Part 2, I don't know, was better. But, like, Spaceballs is the best one. You gotta see Spaceballs.
Interesting. Heather Reilly, what other authors are you friends with, and how do they help you be a better writer?
Oh, my goodness. I am friends with all of the authors.
Everyone?
All of them.
Okay.
Some of them just don't know it yet.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. And they don't help you be a better writer because you are the best writer and you help them.
I don't know if I learn from other authors necessarily through the friendships. It's more through experiences that I have with them.
Sure.
But I think that can happen with anybody, not just authors.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but one of the biggest things for me, I think, is I do a lot of panels with Amanda Labonte.
Yeah.
On writing, and for me, it was really neat to see how different our writing styles are.
Very different.
And yet, we both come out with these beautiful pieces of work, and it's just neat to see. I don't know.
Yeah. 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 No, she's a really good author.
I have no eloquent way to say this, so.
Yeah. Heather Reilly, are there any authors that in the past, when you started reading their work, you disliked their work, but as you read more, you grew into them?
No.
Okay. Next question. Does writing energize you or exhaust you?
Both. I tend to write first thing in the morning with coffee.
Yes.
So.
But I think ink would work better.
No, coffee stains forever. It's wonderful. You can't get that out.
Okay. All right.
But honestly, if I'm like really into a scene and I've just got like inspiration on the go, I can just like, it feels so good and it's like a rush to write. But other days, if I'm like hitting a writer's block and it's happened for 3 or 4 days in a row, it can feel very much like a chore and not like a pleasure.
Yeah.
But I live for the days when it's pleasurable.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, you. Reilly, do you think having a big ego helps an author or hurts them?
That's kind of a loaded question.
I know we always end up, when this episode aired, we always ended up parsing out the difference between ego and confidence.
Well, see, for me, your ego is more of a personality type, but that has nothing to do with what you put on paper. Mm. So, like, if you meet and you like, I have had much different experiences with a piece of thing I've read, and then going to meet the author and came away with it almost like a sour taste in my mouth. So
it's Orson Scott Card for me.
So so I'm glad for me in that circumstance I read the book first, because I think if it had been the other way around, I might not have gotten and read that book in the first place because I didn't like the personality of the author, just rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah.
So, but that's the ego thing, whereas the book itself is a different story completely.
That's interesting, because I think, yeah.
All right, well, thanks for coming on again. For all of you, we'll be here again next week at 4:30 Newfoundland time or online at chmr.ca. Please tune in and we'll talk more about writing culture in Newfoundland.